Welcome to another special episode of Ask the Expert, your go-to source for practical insights on personal finance and business. I'm your host, Nicole Pride, and we are keeping the Finnfest energy alive as we dive into yet another powerful conversation inspired by the Financial Festival. For those of you who missed it, Finnfest brought together incredible minds and resources to help attendees make money, manage money, and invest their money. And while Finnfest has come and gone, the impact is still unfolding as we connect with amazing individuals like our guest today, who attended to learn, grow, and take her business to the next level. So today we are thrilled to welcome Eileen Marcial, an inspiring entrepreneur who attended Finnfest as part of her commitment to both personal and professional growth. She's here to share her expertise on a topic that's essential but often overlooked. We're talking about estate planning. Eileen is dedicated to helping families protect their future with the right planning tools, and we're excited to learn from her insights today. Eileen is the founder and CEO of Wills and More, an organization dedicated to helping individuals and families create estate plans that make challenging situations easier. With over 15 years of experience, Eileen is a licensed life insurance agent, and she's seen firsthand the importance of preparing for life's unexpected moments. Her company, Wills and More, partners with a wide network of lawyers, insurance providers, and other experts to offer a full suite of estate planning services. They're committed to ensuring clients' wishes are fulfilled through customized living trusts, wills, and essential documents that reflect each family's unique needs. Eileen attended Finnfest this year to continue growing personally and professionally, making valuable connections, including with us here at Ask the Expert. Today, she's here to talk about the importance of estate planning and the steps we can all take to secure our legacy. Eileen, welcome.
Thank you so very much for having me. It's an honor and a privilege to be here.
We're super delighted to have you here today. This is an important topic, and a lot of people shy away from this topic of estate planning. So we're going to be courageous in our conversation today and encourage people to consider it.
Yes, absolutely.
So always, we like to start at the beginning with our experts to get to know them a little bit.
Okay.
And so tell us, this is, a unique topic. And so share with us, how did you get involved in estate planning?
Funny, someone came to my home many years ago and asked me if I wanted to get my will done. And I said yes. Took me 6 years to do it because I was intimidated by the documents and just making those decisions. Mm-hmm. And in most places, a lot of people are intimidated by the word will. Mm-hmm. So what I have found makes it so much easier, so much more palatable, is if you call it a love letter to your family.
Oh, that's interesting.
Thank you. Yes, because what you're doing is you're letting them know that you love them enough to let them know what you want to have happen. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, people get to fighting because things aren't in writing. So 11 years ago, I was realizing that a lot of folks in certain demographics weren't getting this done.
Like which demographics?
The demographic that I sit in most often, and others, it's just sometimes it's not a racial demographic. It's just, I'm only 30, I'm only 40, I'm only 50. I don't have anything. So the demographics are, they just they feel priced out of the whole estate planning realm. And so those are the folks that I wanted to be able to say, no, you more than ever want to make sure what you have goes where you want it to go.
So is it the hesitation because people think they're too young and they don't want to think about death or,
Funny.
Look at me, I'm hesitating.
Funny you should say that, Nicole. Funny you should say that because I've got folks older than me that don't want to talk about it, right? And at the end of the day, what I've found works in the offerings that we have is that it's not just a will. It's a whole package. And we call it a love letter will package because it does include the will. It does include the living will, healthcare power of attorney, financial power of attorney. If you have children under the age of 18, you want to talk about that minor's trust. We don't want to leave our children to an uncertain future.
Yeah.
And then we do other, there's other areas of services that folks need, and I like to be able to facilitate that after having a consultation with folks. So how it all started, though, was someone came to my house, but then something really horrible happened to somebody that's a friend of mine. Her best friend had stage 4 breast and lung cancer. She had a 12-year-old daughter who had not met her dad. So I kept saying, does she have a will? Does she have a will? Does she have a will? And the answer was, yeah. But then they put her on at-home hospice. And I called my friend, and I said, tell your friend her daughter's going to Brooklyn to live with a man she never met if there's no will.
Right, yeah.
So I get a phone call about 10 minutes later, weakest voice I've ever heard, and she says, where can I meet you? Now I live in Somerset. She lived in Willingboro. And I said, no problem, I will drive to your home. So I drove to her home. There were certain documents that we needed to fill out for the law firm to do what they needed to do. And I sat down, we got it done. I drove it over to the law firm. They were able to create the will, living will, healthcare power of attorney, financial power of attorney, and the ever so important minor's trust. There were family members, Nicole, that were really like digging into the woman who was getting ready to make her transition. Well, I should raise your daughter because they just wanted the Social Security benefits.
Wow.
So fast forward, what happened is we were able to have a notary at the house, and the will, everything was signed, sealed. That love letter was signed, sealed, and delivered. The woman passed away shortly thereafter. That young lady is now 22 years old. She graduated from college with a degree in her dream degree, doing what she wanted to do. But she grew up in a home her mom wanted her to.
Yeah.
Why? Because there was a minor's testamentary trust in place.
Wow.
We don't want to leave our children to an uncertain future. And I, as a grandparent, I'm extremely vigilant about making sure that if we are grandparents, whoever made us grandparents, let's have that conversation. Because you don't want to have grandparent on grandparent crime.
That's horrible. Okay, so let's just take a step back because you said so much. First of all, I just love that perspective of a love letter. That takes the fear out of it.
The yuck out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it really puts the emphasis on your relationships with others and wanting, as you say, express love to show that you care and to make sure that they are cared for after you're gone.
Yes.
So I really appreciate that perspective. So that's really cool. And then also, you made it seem really simple. So in one setting with your friend, you were able to finalize all of those documents?
Right. Well, no. The thing is that, let me give you the disclaimer.
Okay.
I, Eileen Marcial, am not an attorney. I do not pretend to be one on TV or anywhere else.
Okay.
I was blessed to be able to take care of those documents for my family through a particular service.
Okay.
And so I was able to do the same for several hundred other people. Most notably, the first one after mine was this woman who wanted to make sure her daughter was raised by the right person.
Okay.
So I have a consultation. It's free. We discuss what do you need? How are we going to do it? We assess what bucket or what platform needs to be addressed there. And with this woman, it's quite simple. The document, we completed the pages. That took me 6 years to do. Looking back, I'm like, wow, really? But anyway, so we were able to get that directly to the law firm that was in the vicinity to prepare those documents. So it becomes quite seamless when you have a service that does things like that, and when you know that the needs are being met, right? And the whole idea, the procrastination factor, is it's perceived as expensive, it's perceived as difficult, it's perceived as sad. So my mission has been to simplify and demystify the process, regardless of what platform is needed for each individual client that we serve.
Okay. That's helpful. Thank you. And so I want to not lose sight because we are riding this Finnfest wave, and so this conversation today is very much because you were there at Finnfest.
Yes.
And so just tell us what inspired you to go to Finnfest and what was your experience like?
Well, I've been a part of the D-Free ministry for over a decade.
Okay.
Right? And so it was Wednesday, the 6th of November. And I got an email that Dr. Soares was going to be speaking about how will the election results affect our finances.
Oh, yes, I recall that.
And I was like laser focused on being able to share that resource with as many people as possible. So then you start talking about Finnfest. I'm like, where is this? I've lived in New Jersey for 38 years. Had no idea what Long Branch was. But I was like, okay, well, I knew I had a 10 o'clock appointment. I finished that and I went straight there because I believe that if I can bring back more resources that folks aren't aware of, there's too many folks that just don't understand. We have to have something of your own, whether it's your own business. You want to make sure that your family's taken care of. We lose our family homes. We lose our family businesses by not being prepared. So that's why I've been so passionate about making sure that we move the number of less than 30% of families having a love letter will package in place to at least 50%, one family at a time.
Okay.
And so I love what I do. And I make people laugh. I do a Zoom every Sunday addressing estate planning.
Oh, wow.
And I make it fun. I go over the facts and then I take them through how, ways we can get this done affordably so you're not priced out of it.
So you attended Finnfest with the intention of learning more about resources so that you can service your clients and potential clients.
Yes.
And that's great. And so does that make you a broker of sorts? Is that what you do? Is that you help folks find the right agents or lawyers to help them meet their needs?
That's a good way of putting it. I never thought of it as a broker. I just feel that I'm a bit of a connector, maybe a concierge, if you will.
Okay.
And so I work in different circles. I know folks that are in different forms, in different areas of expertise. I'm a life insurance agent.
Okay.
I am not the person you want to buy insurance from because my scope is limited. I only did final expense. But I've partnered with folks with Prudential that are doing the blueprints for Black wealth. I've worked with folks from New York Life. I work with folks. I have a gentleman in Virginia that I call the GOAT because this gentleman is affiliated with scores of insurance companies and he meets people where they are. Whether you're just starting out, he works with them. Right? So I just feel that we need to make sure that as a people, that we're getting the right insurance for what we need.
Okay.
So that's why I work with a group of people that if you don't have insurance, you need this. You're a business owner, you need to have this conversation for the succession plan. So your business doesn't die with you. Right? And that's a huge problem in our community. Our businesses die with us because we don't have a succession plan. No transition.
So your business, Wills and More, let's talk about the and more. And can you mentioned some of the resources and services that you provide, but can you just give us a definition so that we're all on the same page? Okay. So the will, the trust, and some of the other things that you mentioned already, if you can go through
awesome.
that.
I'll take you down the grocery list of what's included in our Love Letter Will package because it's the wills and so much more. So you're going to get the will. The will is a document that you set forth who you want to get, what you're leaving behind.
Right.
It becomes a public record when you pass away. So it's most important that you don't have personal identifiable information, your bank accounts and things like that in your will.
Okay.
Right? So the will is the simplest way to make sure that you have a way to say what you want to have happen. Now, there's a nasty word called probate, and everyone starts getting cringy when they hear the word. But the idea is that if you die with an asset in your name, it's going to go into probate. So there are ways around that. You need to speak with an attorney depending on your state. Certain states make it real easy. Certain states do not. But But that's where you have the will, which is a public record, and then you have a trust. Trusts are something that is a very, very valuable instrument in that it can protect your assets from probate in most cases. But the danger of trust is that there are so many people out there bombarding the airways, TikTok, YouTube, pundits. Everybody needs a trust. No, everyone does not need a trust. If you don't have anything to put in a trust, why are you spending $3,500 or more to say you have a trust? There's nothing romantic about it. So that's what I love about what we do. You're going to be able to speak with an attorney that's going to be able to see what your assets are and have an intelligent conversation with you about whether or not, do you need a revocable will? Do you need an irrevocable will? Do you need a generational skipping will? Not my area of expertise. My goal is to get people in front of the people that can get their estate planning documents in place. So that's the will, that's the trust. And trusts come at an additional fee, but they're definitely worth it if you have the assets you want to protect. But that's on a case-by-case basis. So then we have the medical power of attorney. Who do you want to speak with the doctors if you're not able to do so? Right? And so I often say it's not a popularity contest. You don't pick the oldest kid because they're the oldest. You pick the person who's going to be able to follow what your wishes are. And it's imperative to get this document done because if you wait, now you're in the hospital. Your oldest child is like, well, no, we got to keep mommy here. Your youngest child said, no, she said she wanted to go. So now there's a fist fight at your bed. We don't want fist fights. Right? So the medical power of attorney, you get to say, do you want them to speak with the doctors immediately or only when the doctor says you're no longer able to? The medical power of attorney is important, not just for you as us as seasoned adults, but for children between the ages of 18 and 28, over the age of 18. We'll leave it at that. Because once a child turns 18, we could pay the medical bill. But we can't talk to the doctor. So I have found in the years of doing this that by having the medical power of attorney notarized and in the phone of each of the people you've designated as your representative, it makes it so much easier when that dreaded phone call comes. You're able to say, look, doctor, no, I have the medical power of attorney. Or to the bank, I have the financial power of attorney. Or I know what she wants to have happen. Do you want me to email it to you, text it to you, or fax it to you? It puts the ball back in your court, whether it's your child or your significant other.
I mean, you said so many things again, which is great. Thank you. One is it's not about age, right?
No.
So that's probably the biggest myth, that wills, power of attorneys, all that is for someone who's like 80 or above, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And what would you say to a young person that might be listening now or a parent who doesn't want to think about something like that, about considering having those documents in place for a younger person?
So for a younger person, I understand, and basically, unless you have been blessed to be part of a family that has taught you financial literacy. I have friends that have taught their children how to invest in stocks, how to start building their own financial empire. But I think that's just like a microcosm of families that do that. So some children may not have something to discuss a will with. Right? But you still need somebody to speak to the doctors on your behalf, right? And so that's why I suggest that it's important to have these conversations. I met a gentleman Thursday before last, and he said he spent $1,000 for a medical power of attorney for his daughter to go off to college. Because you want to have that document in place, because if an emergency happens, you don't want the doctors making the calls to you, right? And so for young people, it's important to have those things in place. And as parents, if we can have them, you don't want that call to come, and the doctor says, well, we don't have power, you don't have power of attorney, we're going to do what we're going to do. You don't want to see your mama come in the door and having problems with a doctor.
Right.
So that's why we need to have these things in writing.
Yes, yes. Do you have any suggestions about the best way to approach these conversations with family members? Or
Excellent question. So what I have done several times, I have what's called a love letter conversation. So we could do it all maybe on a conference call, a Zoom, in person, at family reunions. I did one, I've done them in churches, I've done them in different facilities where folks are thinking about it, but haven't gotten it done, right? And the conversation is this, especially when it comes to our seniors, right? They've built their stuff. They don't want anyone to act like they're taking their stuff from them, right? So that's a very, very delicate conversation.
Right, yeah.
And what I found that works is that we're not trying to take your stuff from you, but we don't want the state to take it either. So let's have a conversation about who do you want to take care of you. Let's get you in front of a financial advisor so we can discuss what needs to happen with this house, an attorney, what needs to happen with this house. So that if by chance they end up in a nursing home, the house isn't gone, right? Or if they pass away. So many homes in certain cities are derelict now because somebody died, it wasn't noted what should happen to the property, and it ended up in a sheriff's sale. And then in that interim, when no taxes were paid, no upkeep was done, copper piping's gone, the house becomes one of those ghost houses you see on HD. Those shows are really fun. But not to give them a plug or anything, but yeah. But yes, you know, and the thing is, we want to keep our legacy homes in our families. So that's why I feel estate planning is so important. So we can leave legacies instead of mysteries. We can leave memories instead of messes. And so that's why I've been so passionate about this, most notably since the pandemic, because then I had more of a captive audience, if you will.
Yeah.
And so that's when a whole lot of love letters were written, you know, because sometimes you wait until it's too late. You're on the way to the hospital. Hey, can you do this? No, I can't.
Right.
Because it still has to be taken care of by, and I defer everything to attorneys because I'm not one.
Right.
And want to make sure everything's done correct and above board. And you can't do that just over the phone. You have to have everything in order in the conversation to make sure it's a seamless process.
Yeah, I love the idea of incorporating a discussion like this into a family reunion.
Yes.
Make it more lighthearted, and everyone's there to be able to discuss this and discuss it openly and create a culture within your family.
Yes.
So I love that, or the church events like you mentioned. So I think that having a third party too to be able to help facilitate those discussions
Absolutely.
makes it easier for families to have these conversations that can make people feel uncomfortable.
Yes, the uncomfortable conversations are the toughest ones. And so what I have been able to do over the past 11 years, but most notably the last 5 since the pandemic, I've been able to bridge that gap to simplify and demystify the process by taking the edge off of it. No longer is it a doom and gloom scenario. Now it's a matter of like, yeah, now this is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to happen because we have things in place. You know, I did a skit at a presentation I did in Louisville over the summer, and I knew I couldn't find an appropriate skit of a funeral scene that was funny. The best one was one I definitely couldn't use. I'd have been kicked out of everywhere if I did. So I wrote my own, basically, and it was quite succinct about having things put in writing and how siblings get to fighting because I'm the oldest, I get everything. No, there's no hierarchy like that. But if you feel, even if you don't feel, take the onus off of your loved ones. They're already missing or going to be missing you, right? And going back to our seniors, you don't want to have to pay an attorney or the courts for guardianship. It serves a great purpose because it's there to prevent elder abuse. But if it's a love letter, you can have that conversation about, well, who do you want to take care of you if you're not able to? And it just makes things so much easier because it's all under the umbrella of love and leaving that legacy.
So Eileen, you did mention that it took you 6 years to get to the point that you were comfortable enough to develop your own will. So tell us, how did you get to that point? You may help somebody here today.
Okay, well, what had happened was my husband traveled a lot. He worked in Europe for 3 weeks out of the month. So I traveled with him to Stockholm, Sweden. So we were flying back, and I looked out the window of the plane, and all I saw was blackness. And I was like, oh my gosh, if this plane went down, who would take care of our 2 daughters?
Oh, I feel it.
And panic
how old
swept.
were they at the
They
time?
were 5 and 10. They were bouts, and the panic was palpable. So we got home, and the first thing I did was take out the paperwork that moved around my house for 6 years. I filled it out for myself. I filled it out for my husband and said, just sign this. Because in the state of New Jersey, they will put your children with the next of kin, the closest person. And that was not who I wanted my babies to be with. All right?
Yeah.
For many reasons.
Right. Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that my mom and dad were the ones that would take care of them because they felt most comfortable in their surroundings.
Yeah.
And so we were able to do that the first time. And as life changes, you revise your will. And we have revised our will no less than 10 times
Wow.
in the past 15, 20 years because things changed. They went from minors to age of majority. Now we're grandparents. So you want to make sure that your documents match. God forbid somebody passes away. You don't want them to still be there. You want to make sure that portion goes to someone else.
That was so helpful because I think so many parents can relate to that, particularly the parents who have small children right now, right? But that's real, particularly because you just don't want to leave your kids with just anybody, right? And so even though that might be your family member, that might not be the most appropriate person to raise your child. So that I'm sure you set somebody free today because one, they saw that you got over your fear and that you actually did it. And then 2, again, your kids were how old at the time?
10 and 5.
And they're how old now?
30 and almost 35.
Right. So some people, I think, hesitate because they're scared that once they make that decision to develop a will, it may trigger something in the atmosphere and they feel like they're going to die because they've done that. Superstition really plays a role in people preventing them from moving forward or procrastinating in developing a will. So I think hopefully through your story, there's encouragement to move forward in that area.
Superstition is no joke.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to leave these love letters so we don't leave our loved ones to an uncertain future.
So Eileen, one of the things that you mentioned reminded me of a previous episode when we had a Prudential financial advisor on, and they talked about the importance of updating your beneficiaries, particularly if you remarried and you want to make sure that the person on file is the person that should be getting the benefits. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah.
This is huge.
Yeah.
This is huge because let me tell you a quick story first. One of my friends, her niece passed away unexpectedly. She had been living with a guy. They broke up, but she didn't get to change her beneficiaries. So she passed away and he got $60,000 out of her insurance proceeds because it wasn't changed.
So her ex-boyfriend
got $60,000. So it's important that you check at least once a year. Are your beneficiaries on file, payable on death, or transferable on death? One of 3 things, or all 3. Alive. Right? Still in your good graces, or still in their right mind.
Oh, yeah, that's really powerful. One more time so that sinks in with us.
Yes. And I'll give you a little synopsis with each one.
Yeah.
Alive. When my dad passed away 14 years ago, my mom was still listed as a beneficiary, and she predeceased him by 5 years. So if I wasn't there, it would have just been a problem. Still in your good graces. I told you what happened with the $60,000.
Right.
So you want to make sure that even if you have an ex-wife, which we call a once was, or ex-husband, we call a husband because they was your husband.
A husband, okay.
You don't want that person to receive what you're leaving So you need to make sure that you pay attention to who your beneficiaries are and file. And then, so that's still in your good graces. Thirdly, you want them to still be in their right mind. Dementia is snatching up our folks. And you do not want somebody with diminished capacity being your beneficiary, your payable on death, or transferable on death. It gets messy. So you definitely want to make sure that alive, still in your good graces, are still in their right mind.
Oh, excellent info. This is so helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, so before we go, if there's one takeaway that you can leave our viewers with today, what would that be?
We had to put things in writing, and we need to leave legacies instead of mysteries. And so, if you don't work with me, that's fine, but work with someone. We have to take procrastination off the table, right? So don't wait 6 years like I did. Don't wait 6 months. This is something, it's coming up on the end of the year. A love letter will package is the gift that keeps on giving. So let's get it done in the next 6 weeks. Let's get it done in the next 6 days. Because it's doable once you make up your mind to meet with someone who can help facilitate and simplify and demystify that process.
Okay, so if someone would like to work with you, how can they find you?
I can be reached at 908-209-7498. And that's my phone number, so you can text me. I'm old school. I'm really good with that. I'm self-proclaimed dinosaur, so I'm not really good with social media.
It's okay.
But you can reach me. You can email me or text me.
Okay.
So my email address is E like elephant, M like Mary, M like Mary, A like apple, R like Robert, C like cat, I like igloo, A like apple, L like Larry, at iCloud.com.
Okay, and you can look at the bottom of your screen now to get that email address. So that's wonderful. And one thing I just remembered seeing on TV recently was a commercial, basically that they have a template for a will, you know, and that you can just fill that out, which would be legal today. And I know, preface this, you are not a lawyer, and we like to reiterate that you should not take any of this as legal advice. Please go see a professional, a lawyer, for your unique situation. So we get that disclaimer out.
Absolutely, absolutely. I see those commercials all the time.
Yeah.
Right? And so for me, not being an attorney, but knowing the importance of getting this done, I would like to be able to direct you to the attorney or the platform that might be best for you. Maybe a DIY will might be that, you know, but the thing is those commercials, I've looked into them. You will have a document, but if something's not done correctly, it's going to cause a lot of pain later on.
What is the quality of the document?
Exactly, exactly. You know, I love the premise, you know, especially there's one commercial in particular, a dad's talking to his son saying, yo, yeah, Pop-Pop and I worked on this together and it's going to be yours when I'm not here. And then the commentator says, well, yeah, no, if it's not in writing, it's not going to be that easy. And so putting things in writing will definitely make it so much easier. And if you feel still uncomfortable about the whole process, the estate planning process, at least have a conversation with me. And if it's something that we could work together to get this done, then let's get it done. But if not, let's have the conversation to take the fear factor out of it.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so very much. We're just so grateful for the information.
Thank you so much.
And again, the perspective of creating a love letter for our family members and our loved ones. So that's just so helpful, I think. I think that may have freed a lot of people.
I hope so, because that's a great Christmas gift.
Yeah.
The gift that keeps on giving, you know.
All right, folks. So there you have it. Another episode of Ask the Expert. So join us next week. Same place, same time. See you.